So we're about 2 weeks into the NBA season now, and I think we've gotten a pretty good gist of what's going on in the league right now, and there's some crazy stuff happening that we got to talk about, so let's just jump right into it. If you like this video, by the way, make sure to like and subscribe. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's probably not going to get there, but we can maybe get closer. And make sure to follow all my stuff in the description. We've got Twitch down there. I will probably be streaming when this video goes up, so make sure you follow the Twitch. And let's just jump right into it. So, I have a bunch of notes here. I don't really have a flow for this video, but we're just going to see how it goes. The first note that I have written down here is Evan Mobley is fucking good. The Evan Mobley thing, I think, is starting to happen this season. I was listening to the Hoop Collective the other day, and one of the things that Brian Windhorst brought up is that Evan Mobley's drives have gone up this season. I think the one thing that's very obvious about Evan Mobley from this year versus Evan Mobley from previous years is his aggression is just a lot more obvious. They're using him as sort of a hub to generate offense, and his defense is still he's still one of the best defensive centers in the NBA, but he is starting to really assert himself on offense. I think that's that Kenny Atkinson effect. If the Cavs want to be super successful, Evan Mobley has to take another leap. I don't necessarily think he has to be better than Donovan Mitchell, who's arguably a top 15 player in the NBA, but he has to be on a similar tier if they really want to contend with a team like Boston. Yeah, the Cavs are looking really, really good right now. They're still undefeated. Jared Allen is anchoring their defense as well and just grabbing a shit ton of rebounds. Darius Garland is back to playing awesome. I think last season was just a lost year for him with all the random injuries, and I think the Cavs are going to be a problem if they continue to play this way, especially with Evan Mobley really being assertive. I think once the season evens out and he stops having because he's sort of learning how to do this on the fly, I think once we get to around the All-Star break, we'll see his numbers start to even out, and I think Evan Mobley is going to be a 20-point-per-game scorer this year. I was really confident in him after game one because I traded LeBron for him in my fantasy league literally after the first game of the season. So he had better up his scoring, but it looks like it's going to happen. He just needs to sort of get more comfortable in that role. The next thing I wanted to just complain about, because we were so positive to open, is where is Joel Embiid? What's going on there? I understand the Sixers strategy is to have Embiid and Paul George healthy for the playoffs. But they are a free win until they get those two back right now. It is fucking atrocious. I can't watch a Sixers game if you're starting Kenyon Martin Jr. and Andre Drummond in your front court. Bro, I can't do that. They have to get those two back on the court. I don't understand why they're load managing Embiid so heavily. If you're going to, I was going to mention Zion for sort of a similar reason like this, but if Joel Embiid cannot stay healthy for even a modicum of time, you can't trust him to be in just okay shape at this point, then you might be having problems in April, May, and June anyway. So Joel Embiid needs to get on the court. I don't understand why the Sixers are being so fucking cautious. We're 5 games in and they're playing not very well because they just don't have their guys. And it's ridiculous. This should not be allowed. So Joel Embiid has to lock in, and if Paul George actually is still hurt, then that's fine. But I think at this point Paul George is probably ready to go, and the Sixers are just not playing him because honestly I don't really know. Next, I want to talk about some rookies that I'm really enjoying and that I think are playing really, really well. For the most part, this rookie class has been really, really underwhelming to start, especially considering how not great it was expected to be anyway. I haven't really seen much from Alex Sarr. Zachary Risachet actually looks perfectly fine. I would say he's pretty much playing exactly how we expected. His athleticism is really showing itself. He's got some fun little gadget skills. I think he could actually be really good eventually, but I haven't really watched much of the Hawks, so I don't really have that much to say about him. A guy who I do have some things to say about is Zach Edey, who I think we've established that he is just an NBA player at this point. He's an NBA player. There was a lot of comparisons to Boban going into the draft. That might be a worst case scenario for him. Boban, as big and fun as he was never really, just barely a fringe NBA player for his entire career. I think Zach Edey is actually a real life good NBA player. He's mobile enough, and he's a giant lob catching machine, and he finishes plays super well, and he blocks shots. Then the Grizzlies have another rookie who I really like in Jalen Wells. He's one of the top scorers in this draft already. Part of that is because the Grizzlies have so many injuries to start the year again. They were missing a third of their rotation against the Bucks, and we'll get to the Bucks. But they are missing a third of their rotation last night, and Jalen Wells stepped up and delivered a pretty good game. He's a good shooter. He's just got some decent ball handling skills. He doesn't really have any timidness. He sort of plays like above his age, and I haven't really seen that much from him, but he was also very good in Summer League when I watched him as well, so I think Jalen Wells could be really good for them. Some other rookies I've really liked, Yves Missi and Dalton Knecht, have just provided exactly what their teams need for them. The Lakers don't have a lot of shooting right now, and Dalton Knecht is probably one of their best pure scorers and pure three-point shooters. And Yves Missi has been playing heavy minutes for the Pelicans as a center because they just don't have any centers on the rotation, and I'm starting to think the Zion at center thing is not going to happen, so we're going to have to scratch that off the bingo card. But Yves Missi has been pretty good for them for the most part, I think. And then Jamal Shead for the Raptors has been an interesting one. He's a tiny little point guard. He's like 5'11", 6 foot, came out of Houston. Late pick in the draft, but he's one of those seasoned multi-year point guards, and he's been really good for them. He's consistent and he's steady. He's got some issues to work out, but they're, traditional rookie guard issues. And I mean, small guards don't really thrive in this league, but every once in a while one comes up that actually works, and I think Jamal Shead could be that. And then the last rookie I wanted to talk about is Ryan Dunn, who's a rangy defensive wing, or at least that's what he was supposed to be coming into the draft, but I guess apparently now he is a strap. Like, he is shooting and hitting threes at like a crazy rate to the point where he's now starting for Phoenix, which was something that no one was expecting coming into the year because he was not supposed to have a jumper at all. He only made like 18 threes in his entire college career or something, not even, and he was like a 4-year player. But he's been really good for them, so it's going to be interesting to see where his development goes because he is an older rookie, but he's been given good minutes for that team already. And now I want to get into some more team-centric things. The Bucks just don't play defense. That's one of the biggest storylines right now. The Bucks and the Nuggets have been really bad so far, and we'll get to the Nuggets in a minute, but the Bucks have not played defense pretty much at all this season. Their perimeter defense is disgusting. Dame is getting picked on. Even Pat Connaughton's getting picked on. Their young players are not really contributing at all. Andre Jackson's broken into the rotation a little bit, but Marjon Beauchamp doesn't play. When AJ Green gets on the floor, he gets picked on. And Brook Lopez is not filling enough holes, and neither is Giannis. So their defense is just so bad. And their offense has been all right, but it's not enough to cover up for that defense. And the Grizzlies, again, with a third of their rotation missing last night, just torched them relentlessly. Ja had this ridiculous alley-oop to Santi Aldama from the floor. It was only funny. And they, especially their transition defense, they really need to pick up in that regard. I think the fact that this team is so old and they have such limited athleticism, that's probably one of the only reasons Andre Jackson is getting into the rotation, because he's just bouncy as shit. But they don't really have that from anyone else. And that's a problem. It's a real problem for them. So I think the Bucks might be in trouble, and Giannis is my early MVP pick, is looking really bad now. Klay Thompson might be back for Dallas. This was another thing I wanted to highlight. He hasn't put up amazing numbers. He hasn't put up much better numbers than last year, though he's been more efficient with less minutes and less shots. He just looks more comfortable. I think the vibes were just dead in Golden State last year. That team got so toxic, so fast after they won the title in 22, and I think now that I've seen Klay Thompson in Dallas, it did feel weird the first game, but now that I've seen him there for a little bit, I think he's going to be fine, and the vibes in Dallas look pretty good. Even though they lost last night, he didn't have a great game, but I think Klay Thompson could play big minutes for them down the stretch, and I think his defense has maybe improved a little bit, though I don't really have a lot of evidence to back that up. The next thing I wanted to highlight is that the Thunder might be the favorite to win everything in June. I'll probably make a full video about the Thunder soon, but again, the vibes with this team are always crazy. They've got ridiculous depth, ridiculous perimeter defense. They're fast. They are so young. They play for each other first and foremost, and Chet Holmgren has been their second best player this year. Arguably their best in stretches. He is just a one-man wrecking crew on both sides of the basketball. He's a great defensive player, and he hits threes and he warps the defense in ways. Although I think his three-point numbers have been down to start the year, his scoring has been up across the board. So the Thunder look really good, and Shea might be an early MVP candidate as well. I mean, next is that the Nuggets look old and bad. They have started the season really slow. I'm pretty sure they're 2-2. Jamal Murray's production has been mediocre. The bench's production has been bad. Christian Brown, even though he's starting and he's scoring a lot, is not hitting threes. The Russell Westbrook thing is just, it's not going to work. Like, Russell Westbrook cannot unlearn being himself, and the way he plays is like completely contradictory to the way the Nuggets were playing when they were winning basketball games. So it's just not working. And they're going life and death with, like, the worst teams in the Eastern Conference. They beat the Raptors in overtime by a hair. They beat the Nets in overtime by a hair. Like, it's bad. They need to lock in, especially Michael Porter Jr. Oh, my God. Michael Porter Jr. to open the season has been a disaster. Let me look up his numbers real quick. Michael Porter Jr. to open the season is shooting 29% from 3 and 39% from the field. He's still not, he's actually passing a little bit more than he has ever in his life, apparently. But he's also not hitting free throws. He's not really playing defense still. And this is in more minutes with the same amount of shots last year. Like, they're giving him more of a role, and he's doing, like, significantly less. And that's pretty much true of this entire team. Julian Strawther has been decent for them. He's pretty much like the only good shooter on the team right now, but he's shooting 55% from 3, so that's gonna come down. But I actually think they might be starting him by the end of the year, just because Christian Brown cannot shoot to save his life. But yeah, the Nuggets are in trouble. And this is the next one I want to make, is that the Warriors are playing really well, even with Steph off the court. But I think unless Steph is, like, getting back to, like, a borderline MVP level, I just don't think this team is legit. They don't have enough high-end talent, and they're, like, the second best shooting team in the NBA right now. I guess that second part could maintain itself considering their personnel, but I don't think they have the personnel to maintain a top 5 defense. And you look at the other heavy hitters in the West, I just don't think they have the talent to do it. Although they've started the season very well. Andrew Wiggins looks so much better. He's like back to, like, basically all-star Andrew Wiggins, and Buddy Hield is shooting, like, insanely well from 3. He's shooting like 50% from 3 on 10 attempts. It's ridiculous. But on the whole, they're probably punching a little bit above their weight right now, and I just don't see this production maintaining itself for the Warriors. But they've played pretty well to this point, and that's with Kuminga and AirPods playing pretty bad. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is that the Lakers and AD still look good, but they need to fix the shooting problem. Their defense is apparently terrible, even though Anthony Davis is one of the better defensive players in the NBA when he's really locked in on that end, and they're turning the ball over a lot. I think if they sort of clean up some of these issues, the shooting problem might just, it's a constant issue with LeBron teams, is that they can just never shoot. On the whole, I think the Lakers have looked good. You can see JJ Redick's influence. I'm telling you, man, they're gonna put Anthony Davis in the MVP conversation. I'd be very surprised if he didn't finish at least top 5 in MVP voting this year. I can't really say that they're a contender, especially with LeBron playing mediocre. I understand that he has, like, this nasal issue right now, but I don't know how real that is. It might be one of those LeBron lies, but maybe not. But yeah, the Lakers really need to clean up the turnovers, and they really need to improve their shooting. Even though their offense has been good on the whole, they really could use some three-point shooting, and they need to clean up the defense. But that's really all I got to say about the NBA today. There's some crazy shit happening right now. There's so much I didn't get to talk about. I didn't get to talk about Paolo Banchero, who's with an injury right now. I didn't talk about how the Celtics are running over the NBA. There's a lot of stuff happening right now, so if you're not locked in, now is the time to lock in. So that's going to do it for me today, though. If you enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I feel like I'm repeating myself at this point. And yeah, thanks for watching.